From robots that can navigate through hundreds of shelves in an 11-meter-tall warehouse. This warehouse covers 750,000 square feet. A section of this space has been converted into a 3-story mezzanine structure, housing robots with the capacity to process 20,000 units of products in a single 8-hour shift.
Even before the pandemic, right, there was a rising trend of e-commerce. Different kind of fulfillment models which are smaller rather than the typical, oh, you must have one truckload or you must have one pallet, then I ship to you. Right? Those kind of things don't happen anymore.
So there is definitely a need to have that space maximization of the mezzanine structure.
But the space expansion wasn't the biggest innovation. Ryan decided to bring in a tech gizmo that could increase productivity by 300%.
You save time because the robots will move faster than human beings. So for us, it's a matter of the efficiency and the scalability and plasticity of time.
What's happening here is that we have about 24 robots looking after about 350 racks of shelves. And they're constantly shifting the racks around to bring them to an interaction on the operations area. We call it a workstation.
The modus operandi here is known as goods to person.
So what will happen is that all these rack shelves that you see, the robots will lift these individual racks, bring them to our operation area, right, where our workers live, really work and operate out of this small enclosed area without having to travel and go into the depths of the warehouse to interact with the cargo. So we measure in terms of productivity increases. And by putting this in, we've actually tripled our manpower productivity because you cut out walking. It actually takes up a lot of time. About a good 30–40% of the time is spent traveling.
So this is actually our flagship AMR. We call it the P800. This is the robot that we use as the mainstay in our goods-to-person system. So basically, the function of it is to move underneath the mobile racks, lift it up, and then transport the racks to and from different places. So first of all, our whole software for the system is hosted on our on-premise servers, which are housed in a server room usually. And the communication with all the terminals and robots are done wirelessly. Wherever there's a task that needs to be assigned to a robot, this information will be communicated wirelessly from the servers to the robot.
The robots read the QR codes on the floor to get from point A to B. The e-commerce hub is a busy department. With robots doing the heavy lifting, the team is able to process up to 6,000 orders a day. Instead of using only the familiar AMRs, a new robot model is being introduced, the C200 series.
The conception of the mezzanine project is so that we can utilize as much vertical space as possible. So there were a few product range that we were experimenting with, but in the end we end up with a combination of 2 product range. The first one is the P800 AMR, which is our standard AMR unit. We are using it on the ground floor to manage our mobile racks. And then for the second and third mezzanine floor, we're actually using this C200S Robo Shuttle, slightly different from the AMR.
The C200 series executes the bins-to-person workflow.
So what bins-to-person means is that instead of carrying the whole rack to the operator, it actually retrieves individual bins to the operator. So in this case, you actually minimize the overall material movement, and it's a more precise way of doing material handling. So yes, the speed is fast because it's meant to be worked in a non-human environment. Each of the location here, there is also a QR sticker for each bin location. So actually this is to help with the identification of the positioning of each tote.
A total of 58 robots will run the mezzanine in a couple of months. And Ryan hopes that this is just the beginning.